Hello and welcome. You're watching UTV Live at 6.
Good evening. These are the stories making the headlines.
Communities plunged into mourning after the tragic deaths of 5 young people in a road crash in County Louth.
There's no words. I don't have words to bring anything to a family experiencing what they're going through, because words, the vocabulary doesn't exist that could cover the enormity of the emotion.
The PSNI sets up a dedicated criminal investigation team after safeguarding concerns within the Presbyterian Church.
The Secretary of State, Hilary Benn, says he's confident joint proposals with the Irish Government on legacy will become law.
And a very special birthday party for 107-year-old Norman Irwin, believed to be Northern Ireland's oldest man.
Also tonight,
both Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland have secured playoffs for next year's World Cup. I'll have reaction from both camps later in the programme.
And we have a real change on the way this week. Cool and chilly with some sleet and snow over the tops of the mountains. I'll have all of the details later in the programme.
The First and Deputy First Ministers have led the tributes here to the 5 young people who died in a 2-car crash in Dundalk at the weekend.
they were all in the one vehicle. Another occupant survived but remains in hospital. 2 people in the second car received non-life-threatening injuries. The Garda investigation into the incident continues. Let's cross live to Dundalk, where we can join Barbara McCann. Barbara.
This tragedy has touched the hearts of so many people. The grief here is palpable. Family and friends of those who died are still coming to terms with the incredible loss and the scale of it. 6 friends set out on Saturday night to enjoy themselves together. 5 of them will be returning home in coffins. And for one couple, a last-minute decision to accept a lift in the car cost them their lives. The smiling faces of the 5 young friends who died tragically young, leaving their families devastated. Chloe McGee and Shay Duffy, both from County Monaghan, Alan McCluskey from County Meath, Dylan Cummins from County Louth, and Chloe Hibson, who was from Lanarkshire in Scotland. They all died at the scene of the crash on the RD road just outside Dundalk on Saturday evening. They'd been travelling in a Volkswagen Golf, which was in collision with a Toyota Land Cruiser around 9 p.m.
Well, we lost a star this weekend. We lost someone very special from our staff, Chloe McGee.
Teacher Chloe McGee and her boyfriend, who also died, had made a last-minute decision to accept a lift in the car after hers needed brakes changed. Her principal said her death has left staff and pupils bereft.
We opened our school here yesterday to help staff come to terms with the loss of a star from our staff room. A girl who was 23 years old, but had taken part in everything imaginable, both curricular and co-curricular and extracurricular, would go the extra mile for her students.
Prayers were said for the victims and their families at Mass in Carrickmacross this morning, where Chloe lived. In her local church, like those in neighbouring counties, preparations are being made for the funerals of young people who died too soon.
The sadness, the devastation that has come down upon us in this parish here in Carrickmacross and in Maharatloon, and in all the parishes that are involved in this terrible, terrible accident, it has caused just so much heartache. People are broken-hearted. We had a Mass this morning. It was the ordinary weekday Mass, and you could see it in the people. They were all thinking of their own children or maybe their grandchildren, and just thanking God it wasn't them that had been plunged into this terrible, terrible trough of grief.
A 6th young person in the car survived the crash but remains in hospital. The occupants of the other vehicle, a man and woman, also in their 20s, also received treatment for non-life-threatening injuries. Well, the road where that crash happened remains sealed off while the Garda experts continue with their investigations. Post-mortem examinations are still to be carried out on the bodies, And in the meantime, the families are preparing for their funerals and that final goodbye.
Barbara McCann in Dundalk, thank you.
Police have launched a criminal investigation into a safeguarding scandal within the Presbyterian Church of Ireland. The PSNI says it's created a dedicated team to hold perpetrators to account. Tori Watson is live at police headquarters this evening. Tori.
Well, Sarah, there's no denying that this is a pretty significant development in what has been a very fast-moving story which has rocked the Presbyterian Church in Ireland. Just last Wednesday, the moderator announced his intention to resign over serious and significant failings in safeguarding within the church between 2009 and 2022. UTV understands that there was one specific case which lifted the lid on safeguarding concerns within the church, and that was of former teacher William Maher. The 38-year-old was also a voluntary church youth group leader, and he was jailed earlier this year for sex offences against 2 young boys. Now, fast forward to today, and just a few hours ago here at police headquarters in Belfast, it was announced that there would now be a criminal investigation launched into those safeguarding failings. But the scope of the investigation will go beyond just Maher. UTV understands that the investigation is currently looking at 3 churches, one in Belfast, one in County Down and one in the Republic of Ireland. And the investigation itself was announced earlier on today by Assistant Chief Constable Davy Beck.
We have been working over the weekend as a consequence of the information that we were provided with at the end of last week, and indeed over the weekend. This has developed to the point that we have recognised this as a significant and a complex investigation that requires, I believe, a dedicated team. That's why I've established that team. That's why I'm here at day one to confirm the position around this team, and we will take this forward with our statutory partners and with victims. This will be a victim-led investigation. It will be robust, it will be sensitive to the needs of victim, and it will be victim-focused.
Well, as you heard, the police are keen to reassure the public that victims will be at the very heart of this process. ACC Beck also went on to say that the investigation would look at a number of other issues, including whether all action was taken to safeguard victims and if everything was shared with the PSNI at the earliest possible stage. Now, police confirmed today as well that they have been in contact with their counterparts in the Republic of Ireland, and they said that there could well be a cross-border investigation if information comes to light. Now, police have appealed to anyone who has been affected or who has information to come forward. They've set up a specific helpline, the details of which you will find on the UTV website. Meanwhile, the Presbyterian Church in Ireland, they have welcomed today's investigation announcement by the PSNI, and they've said that they will fully cooperate.
Tori Watson live at police headquarters. Thank you.
The Secretary of State says he's confident proposals to deal with Northern Ireland's troubled past will become law. Hilary Benn was speaking as he met with his Irish counterpart Simon Harris in Dublin for the British-Irish Intergovernmental Conference.
It's their first formal meeting since the joint legacy framework was agreed in September, and it comes a day before Parliament is set to debate the next stage of the proposed legacy legislation. Our political editor Tracy McGee sent this report from Dublin.
Shall we send her?
Yes, indeed. Relations are clearly good between the British and Irish governments at the minute. Gone are the frosty interactions witnessed during the previous Conservative government. Instead, there's a focus in getting down to business.
Everybody happy?
And the big item of business at the moment is legacy. 2 months ago, the Secretary of State Hilary Benn and Taoiseach Simon Harris were at Hillsborough Castle to announce the two governments had agreed the legacy framework. Today, they held the British-Irish Intergovernmental Conference in Dublin, a day before MPs are set to debate the next stage of the legislation, which will make the framework a reality. Mr Benn insists it will become law.
The agreement that we reached and published in September with the Irish government set out commitments from both governments. Why is that important? Because if we can get access to more information from the Irish government, the Irish authorities, that is going to help military families, other families who lost loved ones in the Trouble, to find out what exactly happened. That is to the benefit of everyone, and I'm confident that the legislation will pass.
But veterans aren't happy. They want more protections to be included in the legislation. Many MPs agree, as does the DUP.
There will be a series of amendments tabled. My colleagues and I will discuss and table, I have no doubt, dozens of amendments in cooperation with other parties. Those amendments will look to copper fasten the words that Labour have used but do not feature in the bill. There are no protections in this legislation for veterans. None. The word veteran does not feature in the legislation.
The Irish government has repeated its commitment to the legacy framework, but the Taoiseach insists the legislation must reflect what has been agreed in the framework.
I don't wish to engage myself in domestic British politics or debates that will take place in the House of Commons, other than to say I know that the Secretary of State and the British government are acting in good faith to give legislative effect now to the joint framework agreement. And there will be a variety of issues that people will wish teased out during the legislative process, but it's very important to the Irish government, but it's very important, I think, to both governments, because it's an agreed joint framework between both governments, that the ultimate legislation that's passed is true to the joint framework.
Today's meeting has provided an opportunity for the two governments to reiterate their commitment to the legacy framework. But let's see if that commitment holds as the legislation makes its way through Parliament. Tracy McGee, UTV Live at Farmley House in Dublin.
And coming up on tonight's View from Stormont, we'll have an extended version of the interview with Simon Harris. We'll also be looking at whether or not reform of the Stormont institutions is needed. Plus, we ask what needs to happen next in the safeguarding crisis of the Presbyterian Church. That's View from Stormont tonight at 11:20 here on UTV.
Sinn Féin's Economy Minister Kiva Archibald insists she did nothing controversial when she ordered her officials last month to ensure public funds are not used to support the manufacture of weapons for supply to Israel. Earlier, the Assembly Speaker, Edwin Poots, confirmed a DUP petition against the minister's move gathered more than 30 signatures, and he's now referred the matter to the Executive to consider. It's the first time in more than 10 years the call-in mechanism has been used at Stormont. The Economy Minister told MLA she stands by her decision.
What I have announced upholds international law. It is a basic moral position that has been adopted to not associate ourselves with public funding going to the manufacture of arms or components that would be used for genocide. As I have said very clearly on a number of occasions, I don't consider that position to be in any way controversial whatsoever.
Farmers have urged the Chancellor to use next week's budget to roll back on plans to change inheritance tax rules. Thousands of farms in Northern Ireland are set to be impacted by changes when they come into effect next April.
Rachel Reeves announced the reform at last year's budget despite a major protest at Westminster in the weeks after. Farmers say they have had no direct engagement with the Chancellor. Our economics correspondent Jordan Motes has this special report.
Farming isn't a career for Sam Hanna, it's a way of life. He's tending to the next generation of cattle. These calves are just a few weeks old. The next generation is something that's regularly at the fore of Sam's mind.
A 50-year-old farmer, 51-year-old farmer, my dad's pushing on 78. Everything's still in his name. As far as inheritance tax goes, come April, that's all going to change. At the minute, we're trying to get things transferred from my dad's name into my name. But as I say, we've been holding tight, thinking, oh, it'll never happen, and a lot of people are doing the same. You know, farmers are generally a stubborn breed and they will hold off as long as they can.
The budget is coming next week. There's a lot of doom and gloom around all of that. What would you expect? Do you think that the Chancellor will right that wrong from last year on the inheritance tax?
I can't see it. Too much of a tail between the legs and a U-turn for them. They're too proud and stupid to even consider it. Here, generally, everybody owns their own farm. Doesn't take a lot of land or a lot of housing, sheds, silage in a silo, grass in the fields to be valued up to that £1 million threshold.
Farms were previously exempt from inheritance tax but now face a 20% charge above that threshold Sam talked about. With nearly half of farms here set to be impacted, many could be forced to sell land to pay their bill. When the Chancellor announced changes to inheritance tax at the last budget, she said it would come into effect in April 2026 on farms worth over £1 million. But with the rising cost of land and inflation, there's now a concern those farms are going to be worth more, and as a result, more farmers could be impacted. With the budget just days away, in a last-ditch attempt, a delegation of farmers from Northern Ireland have travelled to Westminster to lobby for change. They've been here before, but say they'll continue their campaign and will continue to fight. But there is disappointment at a lack of engagement over the last 12 months.
Government has been so reluctant to engage. Nobody has met with the Chancellor on these issues from the farming community at all. And that's really disappointing.
What would you like to see from the Chancellor?
Yeah, well, there's still the opportunity for this to be reversed. That is our ultimate objective with this inheritance tax, because we see the detrimental effect it will have on our family farms.
What have farmers been saying? How concerned have they been? And what have they not been doing as a result of this change?
Farmers in Northern Ireland will be disproportionately affected because of the nature of our family farms. Farmers have been worrying. It has been put a terrible strain on the mental health of farmers, having this worry.
The Chancellor hopes the reforms would raise hundreds of millions of pounds. Given we're told there's a black hole to fill, it's perhaps unlikely any major changes are coming. Jordan Motes, UTV Live.
Still to come on UTV Live, Ruth is all the sport, plus celebrations for Northern Ireland's oldest man who turns 107.
And with the temperature dropping, could we see snow? Well, Louise will be here with the forecast. But right now it's time to look at the headlines making tonight's ITV News at 6:30.
Here's Charlene White.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, the government outlined their latest plan to tackle illegal immigration. Our encounter with the Madeleine McCann suspect, a Christian Bruckner living in German woods following his prison release. The clear-up after Storm Claudia continues just as the first cold snap arrives. And Bridget in bronze, the much-loved character, gets her own statue. Join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
Sport now, here's Ruth from Windsor Park.
The game is heating up. John Mulholland Motors, sponsors of UTV Sport.
Good evening from Windsor Park, where Northern Ireland will host Luxembourg in their final World Cup qualifying group game tonight. It's all over as far as the group's concerned, but Northern Ireland have secured a playoff, as have the Republic of Ireland. They did it in dramatic fashion, and we'll have more on that in a moment. But first, let's hear from Michael O'Neill and the Northern Ireland camp. This team is going to get better. Those were the words of Michael O'Neill just after missing out on second place in the group in Slovakia on Friday night. Despite that, a World Cup playoff is secure thanks to their Nations League table-topping campaign. And that is what makes tonight's game important.
Basically, we want to finish the campaign with 9 points. But this is the only preparation game we have for the playoff. So this is the most important game we have now. We will have, we'll have to look at what we do in terms of the lineup, and there'll be opportunities maybe for us to find out about some players as well that maybe haven't had loads of minutes. Those are all considerations, but this is this game has the same significance or every bit of as importance as the other five.
Conor Hazard is expected to start in nets as Bailey Peacock-Farrell hurt his back during the Slovakia game. George Saville and Dan Ballard miss out through suspension, and 4 others are on yellow cards.
We have to make a decision whether they start the game, whether they come into the game, or whether they do neither.
I think we owe it to the fans. They've travelled well with us when we've been away, and at home they've been unbelievable. And no one likes losing in general, but losing at home is probably the worst thing. We want to go out on a good note, and that's what we'll look to do.
While O'Neill is likely to give those on the bench a run out tonight, he will be thinking of what lies ahead in March. The draw for the World Cup qualifying playoffs takes place this Thursday in Switzerland. Well, as we mentioned earlier, the Republic of Ireland did it in dramatic fashion, qualifying for a playoff. They looked to be down and out after their first 2 games in the World Cup qualifying campaign, but what a turnaround. The last 4 days have kept their World Cup dreams alive, as Daniel Duffy reports.
I love where I'm from, and to be able to do this for all of them there is I can't put it into words. Look, as I said, I'm proud of where I'm from. I'm proud of the people that have helped me to get to where I am. I'm just so grateful to be in this position and be here to help the whole country.
Ireland will find out who they face in the playoffs this Thursday. The boys in green's American dream is still very much alive. Daniel Duffy, UTV Live.
And from one hat-trick hero to another, Ireland put in their best performance of the autumn series so far with a 49-19 win over Australia at the Aviva Stadium, and it was Osborne Mac Hansen who moved to Ireland after being overlooked by Australia for the rugby team. He scored that hat-trick in his first outing in the full-back position, and that prompted high praise from the former Ireland coach Joe Schmidt.
I thought he was super, and you know, his experience showed to the fore. I thought he knows the game well. He's got good support though. I mean, James Lowe and young Tommy O'Brien is an excellent player as well. So yeah, unfortunately, Mac was probably the standout Australian player on the field. I think he's got a great skill set and he's such a good competitor.
And just a quick injury update ahead of Ireland's final game against the world champion South Africa in Dublin this weekend. Stuart McCluskey, Ulster centre, will miss out after a reoccurring groin injury. Saw him leave the field against Australia at the weekend. But Gary Ringrose and Josh van der Fleer are back in contention. Now to golf. Rory McIlroy won his 7th Race to Dubai title yesterday. That despite being beaten by Matt Fitzpatrick in a playoff. That means he's the best golfer on the European Tour for the 7th time, and he's surpassed the late great Seve Ballesteros record of 6 titles.
It's amazing. I had a conversation with his wife Carmen before I went out to play today, and you know, she told me how proud he would have been, and yeah, it's, you know. I said this on this screen last year to you, he means so much to this tour and to the European Ryder Cup team, and we rally so much around his spirit and his quotes and, you know, everything he meant for European golf, and to equal him last year was cool, but to surpass him this year, yeah, I didn't get this far in my dreams, so it's very cool.
Well, that's your sport from Windsor Park, where Northern Ireland host Luxembourg in their final World Cup qualifying group game. But one eye will definitely be on March's playoff to try and get to that World Cup in America, Mexico and Canada next year. Bye for now.
The game is heating up. John Mulholland Motors, sponsors of UTV Sport.
Now, it was party time at a care home in Coleraine today as Northern Ireland's oldest man marked yet another birthday. And this was a big one.
Yeah, it was indeed. Family and friends were on hand as World War II veteran Norman Irwin turned, wait for it, 107. And he even revealed one of the secrets behind his longevity. We sent our Northwest correspondent Gareth Wilkinson to join in with the celebrations.
Birthday bagpipes and a large sword deployed to cut cake for a big milestone celebrating the 107 years of Norman Irwin's packed life. Born in 1918 before partition, Norman is even older than Northern Ireland. He joined the army during the Second World War, seeing action in Africa and in Italy.
Could you have ever imagined then that you would reach 107?
Oh no, I with the bullets ripping up the ground around your feet, it's not easy to wonder if you're going to be living the next minute.
Norman served in the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers Corps, one of only 14 founder members still alive. His longevity today saluted by his old regiment.
To see someone like Norman, who sacrificed so much and gave so much, a life of sacrifice, I think it truly is inspiring.
Last year, Norman received the British Empire Medal for services to his community in Coleraine, and today the King and Queen sent their birthday wishes.
I mean, every year we've got him even more cherished moment. Still has got his wits about him, still has a laugh, still has a joke. As you can see, he's quite a character. He loves a bit of banter, as they say.
He loves a little bit of whiskey too.
Yes, he does.
Yes.
Good health.
A glass of Bushmills every day might be helping to keep aches and pains at bay for a man who still savours every drop of life.
Well done, Norman.
Happy birthday, Norman.
Three cheers for Norman. Have it.
They don't make them like Norman anymore, do they? Now, let's bring us up to date. Louise is here with really cold today, and there's more to come, I understand.
Yes, and the million-dollar question, is it actually going to snow?
It is. We have a real change on the way. Over the next couple of days, Arctic air is plunging in, bringing cooler conditions our way. You can see the deep blues on the map there showing that colder air. And along with that then, we have a few wintry showers. The risk of sleet and snow on Wednesday and Thursday. Now, it's mainly over the hills and higher ground, 5 to 10 centimetres possible across the Sperrins and the hills in Antrim. But we could even see 1 or 2 centimetres to lower levels. Shouldn't cause too many impacts though, because it's been so mild recently. But with that, overnight temperatures will also fall away. We could have lows of -6 or -7 Thursday night. And the last time we had temperatures that low was back in January. Here's the forecast.
After a wet start, weather predictions are looking bright. UTV Weather, sponsored by the Grant Vortex Boiler.
So after a rather mild period of weather, we have some cool and chilly conditions on the way this week. Cold by day and by night. We have sharp, widespread frosts on the way in the overnight period over the next couple of days. And there is a risk of some sleet and snowfall over the tops of the mountains. We could even see a few flurries to lower levels. Low pressure will push through tonight, bringing some showery outbreaks of rain. They should clear through relatively quickly, but we will see a few lingering showers tomorrow. It's the cool Arctic air, though, over the next couple of days. We'll notice a real difference if you're heading out. Cool and chilly with the risk of some sleet and snow. Showers around the coast tonight, clouding over from the northwest. We have further outbreaks of rain pushing west to east after midnight. 1 or 2 heavy bursts there. Temperatures early on tonight will fall close to freezing, but recover by dawn. Lows of 3 or 4 degrees Celsius. So a cloudy, cool and damp start tomorrow morning. Further outbreaks of rain pushing through. Some of those showers becoming quite blustery around the coast once the winds start to pick up, but lighter winds inland. There's a chance of 1 or 2 brighter breaks in places. Temperatures reaching highs of 7 or 8 degrees Celsius, so around average for this time of year. Across the rest of Ireland, it's a largely dry day. A few scattered showers here and there. Sunny spells with a freshening northwesterly breeze and highs of just 9 or 10 degrees Celsius. So taking a look ahead, over the next couple of days, you will really notice temperatures starting to trend back down again. In the overnight period, a sharp widespread frost is possible for most nights this week. Temperatures falling away -3, -5 degrees Celsius. Showers of snow and sleet possible on Wednesday and Thursday, but temperatures recover by Friday. Bye-bye.
UTV Weather, sponsored by the Grant Vortex Boiler.
Now, just before we go, Christmas has officially arrived in Belfast. Yes, hundreds lined the streets to watch the tree lights being switched on at the City Hall on Saturday night. Those who went were treated to a dazzling display of dancing lights, as these beautiful pictures show.
Well, now, Stuart Robson will be back with the late news at 11:05. I'm here with View from Stormont after that. The ITV News is next. From all of us in the newsroom, good evening.
Good evening.